Hello, dear viewers. I am Marie Curie, an inspiration to many women around the world. During World War II, I was thinking about science and the progress of the world. Let's watch my story.
Maria Sklodowska was born in Warsaw, Poland, on a cold day in November 1867, in a world where possibility seemed reserved for others. Her family, though rich in intellect and patriotism, was poor in means. Poland was then under Russian rule, and the very idea of education, especially for girls, was not a right but a rebellious act. Her father was a physics and mathematics teacher, a man of principles and stubborn optimism, whose influence would shape her inner world more than anything else. From her earliest memories, Maria, called Menya by her family, was enchanted by numbers, by the invisible laws that made the world spin. Her home was filled with books, and although there was little food or heat, there was never a shortage of ideas. Yet the tragedies came early. By the time she was 10, she had lost her mother to tuberculosis and one of her beloved sisters to typhus. Still, the fire in her chest refused to dim. Polish schools, heavily censored by the Russians, offered little to someone with Maria's hunger for knowledge. So she turned to the Flying University, an underground institution for those who wanted to learn beyond the limits imposed by empire. There, in crowded apartments with shuttered windows, she devoured lessons in physics, chemistry, history, philosophy, anything she could get her hands on. It was not simply learning. It was resistance. But knowledge came at a price. Her family was too poor to send her abroad, so Maria made a pact with her sister Bronya. Maria would work as a governess and send Bronya to study medicine in Paris. Later, Bronya would do the same for her. For years, Maria toiled in rural estates, teaching the children of wealthy families by day and studying by candlelight at night. She endured heartbreak, isolation, and a grueling routine that tested her spirit daily. And still she did not quit. She read physics textbooks in French. She studied differential calculus between chores. She filled notebooks with equations and translations and dreams. Finally, in 1891, at the age of 24, she boarded a train to Paris with barely enough money for food. There were no guarantees, no job waiting, no home prepared. Just a young woman with 2 suitcases, a mind sharpened by fire, and an unwavering dream. In Paris, she became Marie. The Sorbonne was a different world. Intellectually vast, socially cold. She lived in an unheated attic, often surviving on bread and tea. She fainted in class from hunger. But in the lecture halls and laboratories of the Sorbonne, she came alive. She studied physics and mathematics under the greatest minds in Europe, and soon became one of the brightest students in her class. Marie graduated at the top of her class in physics in 1893, and in mathematics the year after. She was offered a research project on the magnetic properties of steel, which led her to Pierre Curie, a quiet, brilliant physicist with a gentle soul and a deep reverence for intellect. Their connection was immediate. Not just emotional but intellectual. Pierre recognized Marie not as a novelty or a student, but as an equal. Their minds danced. They married in 1895, and their partnership would become one of the most legendary in the history of science. They began work in a makeshift laboratory, more a shed than a lab. It was drafty, dark, and often dangerously under-equipped. But it had one crucial ingredient: focus. The Curies had just read about Henri Becquerel's discovery that uranium emitted mysterious rays. Marie, driven by curiosity and intuition, chose to investigate this phenomenon for her doctoral thesis. What she found would change the world. Using primitive equipment and meticulous methods, she tested mineral after mineral, searching for the source of this radiation. Eventually, she identified 2 new elements: polonium, named after her beloved homeland, and radium, a substance more radioactive than anything known to science. The work was brutal. They handled tons of pitchblende, a uranium-rich, or boiling it for hours, filtering it by hand, and exposing themselves to dangerous levels of radiation, unaware of the long-term consequences. Their hands cracked and bled. Their bodies ached. Still they pressed on. In 1903, the Curies were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, shared with Becquerel. Marie became the first woman ever to win a Nobel. Yet the recognition did not dull their commitment to the work. Even with fame came no fortune. They refused to patent their methods or claim ownership of radium. Science they believed belonged to all. Then tragedy struck. In 1906, Pierre was hit by a horse-drawn carriage and killed instantly on the rain-slicked streets of Paris. Marie was devastated. Their love had been quiet but profound, an alliance of minds and hearts. She collapsed in grief, withdrawing from the world, unsure whether she could continue. But the fire never fully went out. Weeks later, she returned to the laboratory and took up Pierre's position at the Sorbonne, becoming the first woman to teach there. She continued their work alone, driven now by love, by memory, by duty. In 1911, she received her second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her discovery of radium and polonium and for isolating radium in its pure metallic form. She became the first person in history, man or woman, to win 2 Nobel Prizes in different sciences. Yet controversy surrounded her. Rumors about her private life, xenophobic whispers, attacks on her character. Through it all, she remained silent, dignified, steadfast. When World War I broke out, she could have remained in the comfort of academia. Instead, she chose the battlefield. Understanding the power of X-rays in diagnosing injuries, she developed mobile radiography units, vehicles that could take X-rays directly to the front lines. She trained dozens of young women to operate them, including her own daughter, Irene. Together they saved thousands of lives. She drove these units herself, through war-torn fields and bombed-out villages, wearing no uniform, seeking no glory. Just service. Just science. But the years of exposure to radiation had taken their toll. She was often ill, fatigued, her body weakened. Yet she pressed on, continuing her research, advocating for the use of radium in cancer treatment, and mentoring a new generation of scientists. In 1934, at the age of 66, Marie Curie passed away from aplastic anemia, believed to have been caused by prolonged radiation exposure. Her notebooks to this day remain radioactive, stored in lead-lined boxes, a quiet testimony to the price she paid. But death did not end her influence. Marie Curie opened a door through which the world rushed forward. She proved that science was not a man's domain, that truth and discovery knew no gender. She inspired women to believe in themselves, to pursue dreams long denied them. She changed the way we see illness, energy, war, and healing. She didn't just break barriers. She shattered them. Today, her name lives on in hospitals, in schools, in laboratories, and in the very elements of the earth. She lit a path not just for women in science, but for all who dare to believe that knowledge can be the most powerful force for good. She was not born powerful. She became so, through pain, perseverance, and purpose. Marie Curie didn't just change the world. She changed what the world believed was possible. And in doing so, she proved once and for all, nothing is impossible. Not with courage. Not with knowledge. Not with fire.